Welcome back, folks. Last episode, we talked a lot about awareness. It was pretty deep for us, honestly, about as deep as we've gotten so far. Just like everything in our background of what we've been doing, why we launched the show, what our initial goals were, how all that stuff went. So we covered a ton of ground. If you missed it, feel free to go check it out. But what we're going to do now is talk about what's next. So what is phase 2 of the show? How are we changing things up further, and really what do we want to get out of this? And when you think about like what this business is and what the show is and the whole point of all of this, it's that we are using the podcast as a means to grow the business, because this is what people should be doing. Like, this is what podcasts are for. This is why people want to do it. So we are very matter-of-factly showing you as we're doing it, right? Living case study, proof of example.
Time efficiency, effectiveness, yeah.
So we're trying to do all of that stuff here. And I think it's important as we talk about this to solidify where we want to go, because the goal overall is growth. It's what everybody wants. Everyone wants more listeners. You want more attention. You want more followers. You want more views. You want more likes. You want more DMs. You want all the different stuff.
To be the it thing.
Yes.
Yep.
That's what everybody's looking for. Everybody wants that growth. That's what they're trying to find one way or another. That's why all these people are doing the shows. And it's also obviously what you want for your business. You're doing the show. You want the show to grow so your business can grow. So we are going to talk obsessively about growth. That's what this is going to be. And for us, I think, again, it's important to talk about what are we growing to? And so Taylor, I'm going to add, and again, it is Taylor Cradatis, who is half of this business. And this is only your second episode, so I have to make sure that I properly intro.
And who are you?
Yeah. Oh, and I'm Vince Quinn, by the way. I should intro myself. What do you know? See, this is why you're here, and this is why you're a great producer. So Taylor, I'm going to ask you a very loaded question, which is, what do you want us to be? Like SBX Productions, what do you want this company to be?
I want it to be a high-end production company with a select amount of clients that are repeatable, we have good relationships with, and yeah, not the biggest company in the world, but we've got solid clients that believe in us. We believe in what they're doing, and it's just a nice, cohesive ecosystem right there.
Yeah. And that's really where I want to be too. It's like 20 clients. Ideally, we see ourselves as a client, right? That was the whole thing with awareness. It's like, hey, we gotta get awareness for ourselves. Like, we need to work on us. So we are one of those shows that's like in the stable that we are completely obsessed with, and we're pushing it to the nines, and all the business that is connected to that is going well. Which for us, like, I would love to be consulting on high-level projects, right? Not things that we own all that stuff and like really I don't want to be owned by a network. I don't necessarily, like, we don't want to be a network, right? It's just we want to run these shows that are independent, or if they're a part of a network and need help, like we're consulting on that, whatever. But a lot of the people we've worked with so far, independent business owners, and general rule of advice from us, own your own shit. Like, it's just easier when you own your own shit. You have the freedom of creativity, especially when you're just getting started. Like, odds are a network's not going to come and scoop you up, and you got to hope that the network promotes you right. Like, if you're a big brand and you can get all these sponsors and it's easy, I can get it. But general rule of thumb, if you can own your own shit, own your own shit.
Networks are vastly, vastly, vastly overrated.
Yeah, I agree.
In my opinion, yeah.
So I think it's a dangerous place to be.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're coming at it from the indie standpoint, but this is what we want. That's the thing. It's like I don't want all the overhead. I wouldn't like the idea of going to a business every day for this company and to eventually have like a fucking board.
Yeah.
Kill me, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Kill me.
You shouldn't be answering to anybody.
No, that's not why we're doing this. Yeah, I don't need like, oh, the shareholders, like, eat shit. I'm going to the beach.
Yeah,
I don't need this. So that's where I want this to be. So and this is to give you, as you're listening and watching, some perspective on this too. Like, this is what we are pushing for. Like, the show is our vehicle to get all the things that we believe in and apply it to a podcast as podcast producers to help us build the business that we want. And along the way, we want to show you these things. And now, as we shift towards growth, like really going through all of these different growth strategies that you can do for a podcast to grow your business. And so there's a million things to explore with this, which is so exciting about it, right? Like I spend a lot of time looking at guest spots to get on for us to advertise the company. And what's so funny is, I mean, just dude, the insane range of like weird application processes that you go through and odd twists that people have on what their show is about, and all the weird spam that you get from people, like cold emails, cold DMs, Instagram ads. Like you see so much crazy shit in this line of work.
Unnecessary, inefficient means of communication for a 30-minute spot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
at the end of the day.
It's a wild world out there, dude. This whole industry is so crazy. But the thing is, again, like everybody is obsessed with how do I grow this thing? Even when you're a big show, like from everything that I've just seen tangentially, like if you're a show that's got 10,000 downloads, which is huge and you're killing it, especially as a business owner, like,
oh yeah,
like,
absolutely,
that's the dream. Yeah. It's like, no, we need more. Like we gotta, and fine, right? I get it. It's to some degree, it's human nature, right? It's always, oh, what else can we do? How can we keep this going? So fine, but what are those different things to do? So what we are going to be doing here is, exploring growth in a very specific way as often as we can, trying to find new things to grow this show, things that we think are either interesting, something that we really believe in and want to test out further, things we're skeptical of.
Yeah, I was going to say, and some things we don't believe in.
Yeah, so we want to really go for it, though, because you don't know until you try, and I like the scientific aspect of it all. So we figured this is the better way to do it. And I'm going to pitch you on some different things. So, Taylor, I'm going to ask you, I've got a list of stuff here in my wonderful little notebook that I keep on me at all times.
I should state, you're more the optimist, I'm more the pessimist.
Yes, that is completely true.
Yeah.
Which
I'm willing to try things. I'm not a complete pessimist, but, I definitely have my stances.
Yeah, which is good because you reel me in from time to time, and I push you from time to time. So it's like it works. But yeah, so I want to pitch you on just like a couple of things as we're exploring this up front of things that we think are interesting and want to test out and explore in one way or another. Like I want to throw these at you and see what you think, and we can kind of figure out where we're going over the next couple of weeks and months, starting with some of this stuff.
We can do like a yes, no, maybe.
Yeah. So let's check in on some of these things in no particular order. These are just different things that have popped up in my head, and I would love your opinion on.
Sure.
Outdoor ads, things like billboards, buses, benches, like random shit, bus stops, like it's SEPTA stations, like the bus pickups.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like any sort of outdoor ads. How do you feel about outdoor ads in general for growing a podcast?
That's a hard pass.
Okay.
You mean the place where you don't know where people listening are for podcasts are at or see or interact with? Yeah, that's a no.
See, I would. You know what's funny? The thing I'm sour on the most out of all of those is billboards, because I think with the other stuff you can have a QR code and it's possible that somebody could scan that code.
No,
you don't think
you
that
think somebody? No,
really?
I no, I don't. I mean, I would love to hear some numbers behind QR code scanning for advertisements,
There goes the bus. Click.
No. Nobody's doing that. Who's doing that?
Well, maybe that's the advantage. Nobody's doing it.
I don't know. But for what? To check a show out? There's no initial reward.
Yeah, I mean, it would be to check the show out. Like, so I don't know what it would look like to have a compelling ad for like some podcasts could probably have a pretty poppy, aggressive.
There's no carrot on the stick, really. It's just, are you intrigued or not?
Yeah, I don't know what the flashiest, like, I don't know what the best version of it is, even for whatever that might be, right?
And even if it is, it's some, clickbaity dog shit. If you really want to work, which
it could be. And for Philly, like we see injury lawyers all the time that are doing it. Like everything in Philly is owned by an injury lawyer. Like every billboard, every bus, like all of the stuff is just covered in injury attorneys. It's crazy.
John Morgan owns America.
He really does.
Started in Orlando, by the way, where I used to live.
Oh, there you go. All
so
right.
seeing JAWN Morgan in Philadelphia was a funny thing to see for the first time.
He nailed it. So he should have a podcast. Call us. But okay, we'll put that as
that's a hard no.
Yeah, I'm curious about it. I'm not fully committed to it, but I'm fascinated.
No.
Selfishly, I love the idea of us just having a bench that has like our faces.
Well, yeah,
on it.
you like the whatever the goofiness of it.
I do. I really do. Something about a bench to just be like, all right, we have this one bench ad. Like, let's go, baby. Let's get some subscribers.
That's not doing it, folks.
It cracks me up. We could do an episode sitting on the bench for our ad. You know, we could like sit on our ad bench and record a podcast in front of our ad. It would be great. Okay, well, there's a lot of stuff to get to, so I don't want to get too lost in benches. All right, feed drops.
That's a maybe. Yeah, that's a maybe. I don't want to assume what's coming on after this, but I think that's just a less effective guest spot.
Interesting. Okay, I would think it's an interesting twist on a guest spot. And if you don't know what a feed drop is, as you're listening, so a feed drop is the idea that you are getting your episode and it's going on somebody else's feed, like the full episode.
Yeah, commonly happens on podcasts that are connected to networks to promote new shows that are on those said networks.
Yeah. So like that's an opportunity to say, okay, well, you're an audience that seems like you would like this show. So here's a full episode of it. See what you think. And maybe people go and subscribe. So people do that. Sometimes they swap when they do that. So, hey, you put an episode on our feed, we put an episode on yours, like whatever. So it's an interesting thing. I've heard it's very common practice. We've not done that.
No.
And if you're listening and you have done that, like, would love to hear about it. And same thing with all of these things, right? Like, if you've got experience with this, because for us, it's going to be a lot of fact gathering and exploration. Like, we want to have conversations and figure this stuff out and see how people do it and what it looks like when it's done well and all of that. So if you have experience with any of this, let us know. And honestly, if you're interested in feed drop with us, let us know. I'm just gonna drop it out there, see what happens. So yeah, I think feed drops are pretty interesting. It sounds like it's a pretty practical thing to do. I just don't know what it looks like for us, but
yeah,
I like it. I think it's pretty good. Like that's a safer thing in my. It's low risk.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel on feed drops. Okay, here's another one you're gonna hate. On Instagram, there were these ads that I saw all the time. I don't know if they're still running so much, but it's like, pay $97 and we'll get you on Forbes and USA Today and 4 other major platforms. And it's like guaranteed, And I'm like, how the hell is this guaranteed for this rate? Like, I don't understand it, but I'm just so goddamn curious for the price that I really want to know.
It's got to be like Forbes Associated, Newsweek, daily posts, like whatever the little brother or stepchild version of those larger networks is. That's what it has to be.
Yeah, because there's no way they're selling like, oh yeah, you'll get on the cover of Forbes.
Because you would see everybody in Forbes, and that's not the case.
Yeah, and it completely devalues Forbes or like any of those outlets to just be like, well, yeah, I mean they paid us $97, so
no, it's a classic too good to be true thing.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm so curious about, because I've seen so many different people offer it, and it's like, if this works a little bit, like, because
what does a little bit look like?
We get one single client for that, and it doesn't even need to be a show; it's a coaching client. Like, we are just advising them on how to do whatever they need.
What does that look like in the Forbes stepchild thing this is getting posted in?
Well, I mean, if it's a picture of me, handsome. But beyond that, as Taylor,
that's not going to sell anything.
But like, I mean, I don't know what it looks like. I don't know where it goes. I really don't. I have no idea about anything about where it ends up. But I am always fascinated for this rate to promise all of these outlets. Like, what is this really? How are multiple like agencies or whatever offering this stuff?
It's stipulated to hell. That's why.
It has to be. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that is a total... this is buying a $2 lottery ticket and expecting to win the lottery. So I get it, but I don't know. I find it fascinating. It's just a weird thing that's out there, and it's piqued my curiosity. So I'm amused by it.
You're easy to sell to.
I am. I'm just endlessly curious is the problem. I'm always willing to hear something out to some degree. So yeah,
clearly
it is a flaw of mine.
Clearly.
Let's go to paid newsletter advertising. So in this case, we are paying a newsletter to shout out our podcast to their audience.
So just shouting out, or I'm getting like a written explanation of why I believe in what XYZ says about X, Y, and Z.
So I figure there's levels to it.
Yeah.
My guess is early level is they just mention, hey, and make sure to check out this podcast. It's 1 or 2 sentences. It's a link to the show, and that's it. Yeah. That's probably the smallest lane of it. Bigger picture, it could be like a feature about us or something. I don't know. Like,
that's a maybe. If the earnestness is coming through in the newsletter, because if somebody's reading a weekly newsletter, there's going to be a lot of trust within that. So
yeah,
if you're getting a good cosign from that newsletter writer, then I would say yes. But if it's just like an ad drop and it's just like, and here's this other thing, then no. That's not giving value to anybody.
No, I hear you. Yeah, a lot of times when it's that stuff and it's in a sponsored section, on some level, it naturally devalues it for me.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, I don't really want that. And I'd be picky about the newsletters that we do for it if we were to do it.
Well, no, that's on both sides.
Yeah. So, and same thing, like as we're going through all this stuff, if you've had experience with any of these things, we would genuinely love to hear about it and actually talk with you about this.
Yeah.
Like this isn't just some bit. Like we really do want to know this stuff, and we are actively trying to figure it out.
That's definitely a maybe. More yes than maybe.
Okay. So I'll take that. Okay. This is a more technical one. So this isn't like an active go out and pay somebody to do something necessarily. This is YouTube chapters and time codes. And I say that because I hear about this all the time, right? People are always like, well, having all of that stuff is going to make it a lot easier for people to scroll through your content. I do that. I click through stuff. I'm not watching everything from the front all the way through. Give me the thing that I want. I'm getting to it, and then I'll stick around when I find that moment, if it's good enough, I'll stay.
Right.
So that's one of those things that part of it is the time commitment for us and everything we've got going on. We've been incredibly busy. So, but how do you feel? Because you're more the YouTube guy than me.
Right.
So, how do you feel about YouTube chapters and, having that in the show notes as well? Like, here's the time codes of when stuff goes down.
Yeah, that's a massive yes. That's the hardest yes so far.
Okay.
Mainly because anybody that hasn't dug into YouTube retention rate numbers or any, deeper analytics, main thing they look at is with retention rate, within the first 10 seconds, and this goes for an Instagram reel or a TikTok or any short form video.
Yeah.
Basically, within the first 5 to 10 seconds, is the person scrolling on, as they already moved on, or are they staying on for another 10 minutes or 10 seconds, and then another 10 seconds, and then the full video. So with that, it's just, I think it's the same equivalent, but 30-minute podcast, 45-minute podcast, whatever that is. Except you can actually go to the part that you want, and you're going to be sticking around for at least 5 to 10 minutes of whatever the segment length is. But that's way more than 10 seconds. I'm not interested in this. I'm going on the next thing. So that's a massive yes.
Okay. Yeah, because it does make a lot of sense to me. One, it's basically no cost. Your cost is time to go and do it.
Yeah.
Unless there are tools that are great for that, but
there's a lot of really good auto-generated stuff. I mean, you will have to do tweaks to it, but it's pretty good as is. Yeah.
Okay. So we should definitely look into that sooner rather than later.
Yep.
So I would love to do that, but just on that level of there's this thing 18 minutes in they otherwise never would have gotten to.
Yep.
So to basically pitch 5 entry points to the same piece of content or whatever, that makes a lot of sense. I totally get it. I like it a lot.
It's like I'm going to this pizza place for the wings.
Yeah.
They don't have the greatest pizza in the world, but they've got killer wings.
Yeah.
And they only serve them this day of the week. Yeah.
So, give me the wings, by the way.
Yep.
That's absolutely one of my favorite foods. So, let's see. Let's go to one that we are both going to hate, which is paying for interviews or charging for interviews.
Yuck.
Yes, I completely agree.
So, so a 30-minute commercial.
Yeah.
You want me to sit through a 30-minute commercial?
Yeah, I know. People, and look, people do it. So I mean, I went through just yesterday. I pitched a show, and just basic pitch, basic looking show, and what I got back was, yeah, I'd be happy to do it. It's $500 to do the interview. And I look at the YouTube channel; they're getting 20 views a video. I'm like, for what? Like, what am I honestly paying for in that case?
Well, how many people are saying yes?
However, as many are on the feed, right?
I mean, congrats to him, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I mean, that's the weird dynamic of it, because I understand that having the podcast and being able to sell it is money. You are in business. It is supporting your business. Yeah. So there's something to be said for it. And there are shows once you hit a certain level or whatever where I can get why it is worth charging. But generally, a lot of times when people are doing it on that smaller level, at the very least, they're never telling me anything that will truly demonstrate the value of what I'm getting for that money.
Yeah, I mean, almost what you're speaking on is almost the reverse. Like, show that's of a lower level, quote unquote, has the bigger guests, but they're paying. I mean, I know some numbers, but they're paying X amount for them to interview celebrity X, Y, and Z of the day. So
yeah. And that's a whole different thing too, for sure. Yeah, paying people to come on the show.
Yeah.
And I've seen some outrageous stuff on that side too.
Totally counterproductive too. I would never recommend doing that.
Yeah, I don't like it. I've always been of the mindset of I want to earn it. Like, if this person is big enough, I want to have the show be a thing that they want to be on.
It's earning it, and like you're getting a shortcut cheat code for something you're not even ready for.
And it doesn't mean that they're committed to the show either.
No.
So
like, it's going to be a bad interview if you're not, if you don't have your reps in of getting those interview chops in.
Yeah. And if they aren't engaged with it because they're just taking the check.
Exactly.
Hey, you paid me $10K to be here. Cool. What questions you got? Yep. Okay, great. I'm out of here. And then they never talk to you again.
Yeah, ask me about what I did in 2004. Cool. Yeah,
exactly.
See you later. Yep.
Yeah. Let's do the interview I've done 500 times. So, yeah, all that stuff, it's a weird space. I think, again, for me, very, 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 very few select moments where I think it could make sense.
I would say none.
But, yeah, I would be curious to hear if anybody's had those experiences, it's been beneficial, and what kind of value they're actually providing. Because
outside of monetary.
Yeah. Because it's never been clear to me of what they actually do. So I think there's all sorts of stuff with that.
It's the equivalent of paid programming on your local TV channels.
Yeah. It's a weird one, man. Yeah. So, yeah, crazy thing there, but let us know. And then, let's see, I've got 2 items left. So, one of them is personal branding. Now, here's what I mean when I say personal branding. I'm talking about getting us, for example, either it's me or you or both of us, and you have some thing about you. You're selling yourself publicly as this identity, and that's the thing that you lean into that makes you identifiable, that makes you stand out, that adds personality, that makes it easier for people to say yes to bring you onto shows, put you on stages, all that kind of stuff. You do see this from time to time, but for example, just totally arbitrary. If I decided I was Vince Quinn, the podcast professor, or like, you know what I mean? Like it's almost like a wrestler personality, but done more artfully. So personal branding, because it touches every part of the business and the show. So what are your thoughts on personal branding?
That's another maybe. If it's done well, then that's a definite yes. But I mean, how often do you see it done well? I don't see it that oftenly done well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think because I haven't thought deeply about personal branding before.
Yeah, I think there's an organic branding that kind of happens by just getting, that notoriety, being that public facing person. I think That's probably what I'm thinking of more honestly than something that's more contracted than like, oh, you're going to be this X, Y, and Z, and we're going to pigeonhole you to this thing. It's just like if you're just naturally yourself for a consistent amount of time, I think that's the better route. So actually, that's probably a no on me.
Yeah, see, I think there's something to be said for being close to this thing. Sometimes, and I hate it because I am.
It's the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the game.
Yeah. So that's the part of it for me that I'm naturally resistant to all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I was the same way when I was doing radio. I didn't want to be like, I wanted to have fun, and I was an exaggerated version of myself a little bit on the air. But I didn't want to do shows where I was disingenuous about my opinions or anything like that. Like, it was always, I wanted to play it straight and be honest with people and try to make my honest opinions entertaining. So I'm not in for like pageantry. Yeah, you know what I mean? Just for like for the sake of it. I hate all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's one of those things where I've generally been resistant to it, but I do look around and I go, you know what? There's definitely a better way I can get myself out there and establish myself. So I don't know what that is, and maybe personal branding is that answer. I don't know.
I think more keying on who's your targeted demographics. That's a better use of your time, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that we're working out too with the business, right? It's okay. We have different kinds of businesses that we've worked with that it goes well.
Yep.
Like we've worked with coaches and consultants, and that's gone great. We're doing some things with organizations, and it's early stage, but all of that stuff is going well. So, okay, those are all good, and we're figuring out some other stuff as we go. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what my target demo is. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to think, like, because we're talking about growth.
Yeah.
So this is as far as podcasting goes, this is a pretty broad appeal issue. Otherwise, it's been like, I pride myself in a lot of ways of coaching people as a host. So is it Vince Quinn, the host coach? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It sounds kind of corny, but you're going to coast with the host coach. Like, I don't know. But yeah, like figuring all of that branding out together is definitely something I don't fully understand, but I know can be valuable if done well. So, I do think about that quite a lot.
Yeah, I'm pretty pigeonholed on. I think it's just an organic thing that kind of happens naturally.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best way to go about it. But, whatever works for you, really, at the end of the day. But I feel like that's pretty much the best way to do it.
Yeah, when you get the organic nickname, you know what I mean? Like, with
you
athletes and
can't
stuff.
Give yourself the nickname. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, so I don't want to give myself the nickname, but that's one of those things I think about when I think of personal branding.
I don't want the the marketing branding room to give me a new nickname.
Right? It is. Yeah. It's weird.
Yeah,
it's very weird, but who knows? So we'll explore that probably at some point. And then this is the last one that I've got on my list, which is a little bit of a sidestep. Well, actually, no. How about this? I'm gonna scribble that one out. Actually, I don't think it's appropriate. I've out of the scope. But there is one that I skipped. PR agency. And I know you hate these. I know you hate these.
Explain it to me like I'm 5, Mr. Host.
All right. So a PR agency in this case, I think, is more for the guest side of the equation to start.
Sure.
Because people don't want to, like, especially higher level people, most likely will not come on the show. Well, I don't know. Here's the complication. When you apply to shows of a certain tier or that view themselves as being a certain tier, what they will ask you a lot of times in the applications that I've seen is, what is your follower count? And that's an interesting and loaded question, right? Oh, well, if you don't have 25,000 combined followers on Instagram and LinkedIn, we don't care. We don't want you. Or TikTok, we don't want you. We just don't care. So people clearly inflate stuff like that. But one of the best ways to grow your audience is to get on bigger shows and prove yourself and take the audience back with you because you've earned their respect. So when it's like, okay, well, you have to have the audience to get on that show. I don't know other ways to creatively, and we're going to be figuring out these creative ways to go and build audience to grow. But being able to have those connections, that's supposed to be the value of PR, as I understand it. Is they have relationships, and they're able to leverage those relationships to get favors and work stuff out behind the scenes to get you in places that otherwise you wouldn't be able to get into. So that's being placed, magazine features, news features, so on the TV or a newspaper, getting on higher quality podcasts. I don't know, get good people on our show. Like those kinds of things. Supposedly, you know, mostly you need a good PR person to do, and I think that's something to explore at some point. From that PR standpoint, how do you really max that out, and like what does that look like at the highest levels?
You ever notice when you were explaining all that, you said podcast once and then 4 other different media categories per se?
Yeah. Well, part of it is I've been clear. We did an episode on this recently. I mean, I think the guest industry, in terms of guest booking, from my experience of just like starter stage people, is bullshit. I think it's bad. Yeah.
If you're not invited via a host or a member of the show, then I mean, the likelihood that episode's going to go like well and engaging is probably low because nobody's, you know, really standing up for you or pitching why you should be on. You're just a PR client. And at the end of the day, you're just another client. You're not naturally connected to whatever the show is or represents. So that's a hard pass for me.
See, because for me, here's how I look at it is, if we can go as a PR, we get a PR person, and let's say they do get us in a magazine or something, right? Like we're in Philly, so let's say Philly Business Journal. We get featured in there.
In a magazine where you're not sure if those readers listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
But I look at it from the mindset of, okay, that gets us in front of an audience that did not know that we existed. It gives us some level of credibility to say that we were featured in a Philly Business Journal. And now maybe that opens some eyeballs where we can either get people on the show as guests that we couldn't before because we got that feature, and different people reach out and follow us and check out our profile and all that, or other people who have shows then see us and are like, oh, these guys are popping off. Now we've earned that status that gets people to want to invite us onto shows because of that thing that is not podcasting has like given us worth that we previously didn't have.
Right. I mean, this is a blind spot I have personally. It's hard for me to view how people view other things. Like, you know, I was on this local affiliate of whatever, and that makes me a better candidate for some guy. Cool. That, you know, certification or whatever it is, it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, but people do value that stuff a lot.
No, I hear you. Yeah, I think it's silly. Honestly, I don't need somebody else to validate me. It's just, you know, 101. Are we on the same page and we can make something cool? Then yeah, but outside of that, I could care less.
Yeah. And I hear you on a lot. Like spiritually, I'm mostly there with you.
I mean, like I said, I don't think how a lot of people think. So
yeah. So it's a fascinating thing. But again, this is all just the surface of all of these things that are out there in the world of ways that you can grow a show and, by association, grow your business. So it's fascinating to think about all these things. And this isn't even us, because here is the truth of the matter as well. As much as we've talked about podcasting and it growing the business, there is a reciprocal nature. So if you're doing a good job growing the business anyway, then you can reinvest into the podcast more. So there is a back and forth between these two things. As we're starting here, let's talk about podcast growth, but we can also very much talk about business growth with the idea that you are using those things to grow and reinvest in the podcast and improve the systems around it and all that kind of stuff. So there's plenty to talk about in this world, but these are all just different things, different mediums, like different styles. There's so much variety to all of it. And these are things that, like I said, I mean, genuinely curious about all of this stuff. And so, as I've said multiple times, if you have been around any of these things, experienced any of this stuff, have insights to give, know somebody that's gone through it, think it's a good connection for us, like, we want to talk to these people. We want to know. So please hit us up, like DM us, comment on stuff, like whatever platform you're checking this out, let us know.
Especially if you bring it a park bench.
That's right. That's right. Yes. If we find somebody who's done an ad on a park bench, I will be so thrilled. I will be so happy.
You can be the third chair on the show. Guaranteed. Guaranteed for $97 or your money back.
Yeah, $97 or your money. Yeah, we're gonna put your logo on this chair that is next to me in the studio.
Yeah, you can buy the branding on all these chairs.
We'll set it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let us know if you've been through all of this stuff, but especially if you've been on a park bench. And otherwise, subscribe. 5-star ratings are always great. And more growth information and exploration coming up next week. We'll see you.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to the show. Make sure to subscribe to the newsletter to get more podcast insights. That link is in the show notes. And if you're feeling stuck with your podcast, let's figure it out together. Book a free 10-minute chat with me. The link to do that is also in the show notes. Talk to you next week.